everyone, my name is Serenity and I'm a self-taught artist and an aspiring writer. Today is a writing video. I felt like I've done quite a few art videos and even some were just my ramblings about something with a b-roll footage of me drawing. So for today, it's about writing. More specifically, writing tools, any kind of writer, be it novels, comics and manga, animation, film, or TV, you name it. No matter the medium, it's beneficial to you as a writer to know what you can use. Before I share my list, be sure to leave a like on this video, post a comment below, subscribe to my channel, and turn on bell notifications so you won't miss an update, and it'll help the algorithm push my content. With that out of the way, let's get creative. Item number 1. Join groups or follow pages dedicated to specific topics or skill sets. Also make sure that the group or page is curated to help writers. Reading personal stories that people share on the internet, especially on various subreddit threads, news articles, whether local, national, or international, can be helpful to an extent. But you need to be careful about how much you take inspiration from said topics, so you're not writing something almost one-to-one, to avoid legal battles in the future. I'm stressing about specialized groups, especially on Facebook. I don't know if there are any groups or pages on other social media platforms that do something similar, but I know Facebook has the group function. I'm a part of a group called Cops and Writers. It does sound like the age-old game Cops and Robbers, but the group specializes in giving accurate details and information to how certain things work, rules, procedures, regulations, etc. that cops deal with. On top of that, how weapons work, and so on. Best of all, these pieces of information are given to writers by actual cops. I'm in a similar group but for firefighters called Authors Fire/Rescue. I'm sure there are many other similar sources, you just have to look for them. Take advantage of these types of groups or maybe even subreddit threads where people share their experiences and expertise on just about anything. Remember, be careful how much you take in and put it on paper or your document. Basically, consult experts and draw from others or your own experiences, while also avoiding problems with plagiarism and other issues if you aren't too careful. Number 2. I mentioned in my previous point that there are many subreddit threads you can go through. There are people on YouTube who compile these stories and read them for people to listen. There are so many different stories to read or to listen to, so there's no shortage of them. It's fine to use them for some inspiration, but remember that these stories are written and posted by real people based on events that happened to them, even if they change names or omit them completely. My best advice, just like with drawing, if you're looking for inspiration, take it from several sources or use multiple similar stories sharing the same topic. Mix and match bits and pieces together and create something new. Even if you draw on your own personal experiences, it's best to make sure it's not one for one. And again, don't use names of people who are part of that story. Number 3, take full advantage of author tubers or other YouTubers who talk about various writing tips and how to write for specific tropes or genres. Just because you're writing a comic or manga, it doesn't mean that writing tips from a novelist isn't a waste. The only difference between the two mediums is that written form needs to describe things, whereas the visual form needs you to be drawing it. Even in visual mediums, you're still getting a prompt or a note about the setting, character description, or action, etc. that you're gonna have to draw. So you're still gonna have to write a script for your story. There are plenty of channels that give writing tips. It doesn't hurt to subscribe to multiple channels. Even if you hear the same tip, you'll benefit from different opinions or maybe hear a point that wasn't mentioned by someone else. Number 4, read books about writing. I know it might seem redundant. I myself don't read these types of books. There may be few gems in these relics that you can use, even if you've probably heard it in a video or read it somewhere online. It's still a tool. You can take it or leave it. It's not mandatory as the previous points. And last but not least, number 5, and for the last tool, I would advise writers to use actually more like 2 tools, but they function so similarly. I've seen many creatives recommend and sponsor this website, and that will be Milano. By the way, this isn't sponsored. I only have 10 subscribers. I do not meet any of the requirements to actually make money off my content yet, let alone get sponsors. Anyway, as I said, Milano and the other tool that is so similar in some ways, Pinterest, specifically Pinterest boards, can help keep things organized. I know Pinterest is a more visual website, but it doesn't mean the ideas couldn't be less helpful. You got characters, settings, and more in your story. You need ideas. You want to organize them. This is why these two websites are very helpful. Milano lets you put ideas down, create written boards or topics for your characters or your story settings. You can add a little thread to connect different boards together like you're trying to investigate a crime scene. You can add, remove, reorganize pins. You can also upload pictures on there. It's not just text. You can sign up and use Milano for free, but if you want extra space, you can either refer people to it if they click on the referral link you share. Speaking of which, I put mine. Let's help each other. Alternatively, you can also pay for some extra storage. Of course, that's optional. On Pinterest, although it's mostly visual, even if you find posts with text on them, it's still kind of visual. You can still benefit from having a visual library for your ideas. You can make separate boards for each of your characters individually and add pins giving your general ideas about the different elements of your story from characters to settings. Pinterest is free to sign up for and there's no limitations on how much space you have as far as I can tell. I have a lot of boards and subboards, but I don't think I've reached the cap on how many I have as of now. I hope they don't change that in the future. I actually just remembered the third website. I've seen sponsored from time to time, but it's a little more similar to Milano, but it is catered towards characters. It's more of a visual / art-centered one, but it can never hurt to recommend it irregardless. This website is Unvalel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Unvalel. This mostly is making for boards or posts, whatever they're called, for your OCs, write out their bio. You can even customize each board however you see fit. Now you can completely ignore all these three sources and just save everything on your computer's drives if you're concerned about privacy or whatever reasons you have. But computer drives aren't always safe because you never know what may happen to them or your computer as a whole, causing you to lose them. I don't mean to scare you, but I'm just saying be careful. These websites have privacy settings, I'm sure of it, so if you don't feel like sharing much but still want to keep things organized, they're available anytime you want them. So that's all for now. If I find more tools that I think writers should use, I'll work on the second part. I hope you've benefited from these tips and good luck with writing. That's all I got to say. Bye for now, creatives.